Achieving the impossible. Is it possible? Let's find out on today's episode of Behind the Book with Danny Ho from Scarab Digital. Let's jump in. Welcome to Behind the Book, where I am your guide, Heather Andrews, unraveling the captivating stories from behind the pages. Join me as I sit down with authors from the literary landscape to delve into challenges, inspirations, and untold tales that breathe life into their written worlds. Achieving the impossible. Welcome back to Behind the Book with Danny Ho from Scarab Digital. Welcome back, Danny.
Thank you.
Excellent. On previous episodes, we had talked about embracing your NZT and just really kind of finding that limitless self. And where I want to go to next, after we've spent a lot of time on your chapter on Culture Revolution, is your company and all of the things that we've created. Because I know that when you, in the first episode, you referred to yourself as the punk who started the video company.
Right.
And I know that you are now the president and you've implemented, a few of the culture strategies. But what are some of the cool things now that your company has built and been involved in?
There's so much.
So much, yeah.
It used to be that we would take on, maybe actually even at the time, maybe one or two projects at a time. And I wanted to basically not be able to say no. So in order to do that, I had to scale. And every task I used to do, I had to do everything myself. So it's one of those few things where the founder and the president, he did everything that every individual is doing as an organization now.
Yeah.
Had to learn how to do the books, had to, all the mundane administrative stuff. Yeah. And then right down to the nitty gritty of the actual practical. So being on set. Yeah. So maybe just encapsulate what we actually do. Yeah. Is, and we've grown from this, but this is where the bread and butter grew from, where the whole company grew from. And it's basically, for any movie or TV project, there tends to be screens. I mean, screens are very prevalent in our lives now. Yeah. Back in the day, you can imagine, say 10 years ago, or sorry, even more, 20 years ago. Screens were only prevalent in, say, a computer, or TVs. TVs were also, right? But now, in the advent of all the mobile, so we are responsible for anything that you see in a movie that has a phone, tablet, desktop, TV, security screen, LED wall, and projection. So we encapsulate all of that. So you can kind of think of it as sort of like a specialist team that creates content specifically for telling the story, number one, for what the scripts are written to say. Right. And then we have to make a believable version of that and interactive that's in the scene. So a very common one is a phone call. It seems super mundane, but you can imagine in a film where you have Al Pacino. Right. He has to receive a phone call. And if you rely on a real phone, it might not ring exactly when his line finishes, right? So, and you don't want to ruin the take for Al Pacino. So that's kind of a good way to describe it. And so we trigger the content that happens in the movie on the screen interactively with the actors live.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So, your classic cops and robbers. So they have to go and match the DNA and fingerprints with the perp. And so you go to the tech and the tech brings up the information on a screen and it all appears there. So we create the content and then we also deploy the content. So there's the content creation side of things where you align your vision with the writers and the producers and the directors for what they want to do. And then you have to execute that and actually do it practically on a physical movie set where all the screens are operating at how they should be. And so you don't want the classic blue screen of death happening in the middle of the shot.
Yeah, no.
So you have your your A plan, and you also should have your B plan, your C plan, and down to your D plan, because you do not want to hold up production. So that's
awesome.
basically what the job entails.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's well, I know I was just on your website during the break, and we were looking for a couple of things, and when that came up, you've been a part of a lot of movies.
Yeah, it's true. So, we've gained some success and some recognition. I guess most recently for feature-wise, I would say, I don't know if you call it a feature. It's Apple TV Plus kind of project. So that's more of like a streaming platform, but definitely feature-level budget kind of product is. We shot it as Hourglass, but the project was released as Monarch. That's the Godzilla.
Okay.
The Godzilla universe. So that was on Apple Plus. Another project we did not too long ago was Peacemaker.
Okay.
That's like a spin-off from Suicide Squad.
Okay.
And then actual feature release before that was Sonic 1. We were doing, but there's countless other TV shows that we're currently working on. There's a project called Allegiance. These are local ones, like Canadian projects. So I want to give a shout out to the Canadian projects because they don't get the shine of light too much. Family Law is another one. We've just finishing up on season 4. Mm-hmm. Is that right? Season 4, season 3. And then there's also. I guess for a long while there was all they call it the Arrowverse, where there's all the DC superhero lines. So there was like the Flash, the Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow, Supergirl, Batwoman.
Yep.
All of those, all those series, we worked on all those projects.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's been a fun journey.
Yes. So how did you transition from screens? Yes, you are correct. They're everywhere. But how did you go from doing like, say, straight video into that side of movies and productions and screens? What was that transition?
It's an interesting story. So as a just natural sort of, I guess, audiophile, AV geek.
Yeah.
My heart was actually in audio.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, just at a certain point in time, an opportunity landed where I was just on a film set, and where they used to do video. Mm-hmm. It was already prevalent viewing video before it was computer and interactive. Mm-hmm. And so they had, your classic Betacam or 3/4 inch deck. These are big, like basically giant professional VCRs. And so to do this interactive stuff, they used to have to pre-record. You imagine you doing all the content in a computer, and then you render it out and you record it to a tape. And so at the time, you are trying to make an interactive scene with a videotape. And so it's not very interactive, right? So as computers became more prevalent, people, you can't pull the wool over people's eyes. You can't play a video and pretend it's a computer. So we just had to be at the right place at the right time, and we could actually programmatically make the sequences interactive through a computer. And then now it was kind of like a new dawn of a new age where you had interactive content on a computer. And so we could see these two worlds converging, video and computer. And so, soon enough it did. Just like you can play a video off a computer, basically. Yeah. And so, and we could make all things work interactively with each other. Yeah. So it's just right place, right time. Yeah. And
you found a niche.
We had a niche, yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah. That is amazing. So when you think back to, you're a technical guy, and then you had to step into and you were the president of your company. I mean, there's a lot of steps to fill in that. And we talked a little bit about how you used to do everything. What is the role in your company now as the president and founder and over? Yeah.
I'd like to say, yes, I'm the president. I'm still, actually, I'll say this. It's a challenge because, the brand is actually Danny. Yeah. For a long time, because the jobs are coming. Like I said, the word of mouth is where the projects are coming from. So the bigger challenge has been creating the company, and kind of parsing the brand away a little bit away from Danny and becoming a brand of Scarab.
Right.
And so that people can rely on Scarab. They know they're hiring Scarab. It's I guess the best equivalent I can make is similar to a lawyer's company, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to pay just the top dog lawyer. You want to pay for him when you need him.
Yeah.
But you want his fingerprint and thumb and what systems he has in place and his knowledge and experience that he brings.
Yeah.
With your team members. So it's a bit of that. So you need to let your team grow legs so that they can embrace the knowledge that you can pass on.
Yeah.
And systems that you put in place.
Yeah.
And embrace the culture, actually, right?
Yeah.
So you're creating fostering a company where people are aligned to see your same vision and goal, right? And so I would say that's probably one of the bigger challenges, separating the brand from yourself and creating a brand for your company, so that the people follow what you've put in place. It's a big thing.
Well, yeah, you eventually want to retire and create that legacy of what Scarab Digital has done.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's hard because people say, well, what, I don't get to work with you, Heather, and I'm like, yes, you do, but you're just going to be working with my team, and I'm here.
I'll oversee the project, right? You'll be there.
Yeah.
You're as long as you're associated with the company.
Yeah, absolutely.
It can carry on. Though that's the next challenge, right? Separating yourself from the company itself, but having the company encapsulate all the values that you brought with it. Right?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I wanted to do a deeper dive into your company because I know that it was a big part of what brought you, and you did our book cover as well for Culture Revolution.
That's right.
And it was a beautiful book cover. It just blew blew my socks off as to the depth, and you took everything that everybody encapsulated, and I know that everybody thinks, it's just a book cover, and as our young videographer Ethan says here, that you can't judge a book by its cover, but you do. Right. And what was sort of the concept that you first went into when Adam asked you, to help us with the book cover?
Well, it's interesting because there were some ideas floating out there, and we were, interesting enough, one of them was, I guess what struck up the conversation even in the beginning was that there's one sort of, I think it was, it's kind of crowdsourced, I think, or we just stock footage and such, or stock images. Yeah. And one of them was it was a powerful image, but when you sort of deciphered it, it's like, is that really the image we want for the book, or what is it? What is the language of what we want for the cover? Mm-hmm. And so it just struck up the conversation about what do we really want, and so it became okay. We want it to definitely be a business book. Mm-hmm. We definitely want it to resonate with the people, and we knew it was a compilation. So I think that's where it sort of stemmed from and started from. And we explored a lot of ideas. Yeah. There was and an input from everybody. Yeah. And it was, I'm not going to say it's a challenge to take on everyone's ideas. Yeah. And then put it into one space, and then we explored all the ideas, and the thing is, from a design perspective, we can see it ahead of time. Yeah. We'll explore it though. We'll show you what happens if you go down that road. Yeah. And so, some instances of the ideas, they're great ideas, but practically they might not necessarily work, right?
I know. I've overseen a lot of book covers in the publishing years of the 9 years that I've been doing this, and and somebody's like, well, I had these two rocks coming together, and I'm like, yeah, but they looked like potatoes. It's not a good concept. It's just not. Right. Yeah. So anyway, I think your team did a brilliant job, and it's so forward thinking. And when you think of the purple on it with the young girl and all the pieces fitting together, and it just goes to how complex culture is, and all of the complex. And I think that that's what embraced this book so beautifully, was and everybody's like, well, what happens if my chapter overlaps with somebody else? I mean, nobody's got the same story and nobody's got the same concept.
Mm-hmm.
That's how vast. And I think that when you did the pieces and the younger woman on there and the color purple is a leadership color, it just really encapsulated. And then when I saw the print cover, when it just popped. So when we do our launch, people are going to be wowed.
Terrific, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And
Yeah.
I can't take all the credit. My team is put some good time and effort into it, and it's we're all pleased with the result.
Yeah, well, I think it was version, 13 was the final version, but there was probably way more than that.
Right.
They started labeling them.
There's definitely internal versions for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Anyway.
That was a fun project.
Perfect. And so where can people find you as we wrap up our time together?
So you can find us on social media, either on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram as Scarab Digital. And then you can also find us at our website, scarabdigital.com.
Excellent. Yes, and go check out the website because there's some very cool concepts on there, and go check out all the work that Danny and his team at Scarab Digital have done. Also, make sure you go and buy the revolutionary book, Culture Revolution, on Amazon. And join us next time as we do a little bit deeper dive into what is happening for Danny Ho of Scarab Digital moving forward. Till next time on Behind the Book. I'm Heather Andrews, and on Behind the Book, we journey beyond the cover. On each episode, I dive deep into the minds of authors, unlocking the mysteries behind their literary creations. Discover the stories behind the book exclusively here with me.